Hello, my friend. Have you heard the news?
I've heard the news. It's good news and it's bad news. It's both
Well,
news.
I just think it's good news personally. Uh, but do you know who is going to Worlds as the number two seed from NA?
I have heard that in fact is the club we support,
100 Thieves.
the 100 Thieves team.
Happy we made Worlds Day, everyone.
um,
Made the number two best team in NA win.
given that our condition to get in was TL continue to be the best team in NA, I felt pretty good.
Good chances.
I felt pretty good.
No, we can't lie like Cloud9 wasn't on a tear and
They were on
looking
a tear.
pretty hard to beat.
They were. And so what had happened today?
What had happened was we're going to Worlds. Everybody, this is the Den of Thieves podcast.
I'm
It's
Jordan.
the Dot Pod. Oh, yeah, he's Jordan. I'm Cole. It's the Dot Pod. Oh, good sir. What have you put on your chest for clothing?
Oh, it's this new t-shirt I got in the mail.
T-shirt, huh? I
The
didn't know
fanciest
they made
t-shirt
a
I ever
t-shirt.
had. Got a lot of buttons on it.
Oh, man. Goodness gracious. It's a
Did I
good
say
looking thing.
On the broadcast, I didn't appreciate how excellent this red accent stripe is. Very good. Very good.
Delicious. You're looking like a snack.
Feeling like a snack.
Unfortunately, mine has not come yet because I customized my jersey with my gamer tag.
They're still cutting out the letters from magazines that you like.
Yeah, it's going to be all different fonts. It's just going to be a collage. That's right.
That's really cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh man. Well, enough of that nonsense because we're going to Worlds,
Hey.
and we don't even have to try very hard to get there. We just have to get on a plane.
Yeah, that's it. We got to figure out who's coming to Worlds.
That's another thing altogether.
We addressed that in a previous episode, though, and I think we're feeling pretty good about who goes.
I think
to
the
Worlds.
predictions are good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But a lot to talk about because lost in the happiness that we are going to Worlds is the unfortunate truth that we actually lost a best of 5 this weekend. Don't tell anyone.
Just forget about that. It seems like the last few of these we've done, it's been after we've lost some things that were important.
We have kind of done a lot of losing important things. Fortunately, this one wasn't that important in the end, was it?
Yeah, this was for Pride. This is a Pride match.
And not to say it's not important, because obviously the momentum that you're going to carry into the Worlds tournament is going to be a big deal.
Yeah. Good to beat TSM. They could be the third team there representing NA alongside us.
Yeah. It's looking like that could be quite likely, actually.
Yeah. They didn't beat Cloud9 in a best of 5. So if they run into Cloud9 in the gauntlet, that could be an issue for them. But they're a good team. They're a very good team. Yes,
they are a good team. But I do agree with your assessment that it is Team Liquid and then the rest of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Team Liquid and every other team from NA.
Yeah.
Which, how different is that for... I feel like you usually have a standout squad, right?
Yeah, that's true. Well, we may have some time to talk a little bit more about Liquid, but let's talk about our own games. Let's get this out of the way because we lost. Oh, by the way, do you see I'm still on my new background because I've still got people in my house. The thing I didn't notice last time, you see this wall here? Yeah. This wall is blue.
Oh.
It sure doesn't look blue, but I promise it's blue.
Kind of
it's an amazing trick that
shade.
My webcam is doing to make me look neutral. All right, game 1 versus TSM was a fun one.
It was. And I'm going to call it the Rikara game.
I think that's a proper name given the context. Yeah. Rikara's only game for us. And interesting, they said, like the analyst kind of said, probably told them ahead of the match that they were going to use Rikara as a information gatherer, I believe is the term that they used. That they're going to start him in game 1 and then go with Cody Sun from there, which obviously is how it played out. Draft on this. Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
It just seems like a strange thing to plan that far in advance, I suppose.
Yeah. We're going to talk more about whether or not that was actually the plan or the case.
We can talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit later. And then for everybody watching, we're going to try and do the games a little bit faster for this week because we've got lots of stuff to talk about ahead of Worlds. So we'll probably be a little more abbreviated since we've got 5 freaking games
to talk about. Can you remember a time when all we had to do to prepare for this pod was watch 2 games over 2 days?
That would be nice.
Those were the simple times.
And I wouldn't mind it so much if we were winning. But okay, game 1. Someday took Gangplank. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Yes, woohoos all around.
I think that was a woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo from my side. So Anda was on Olaf, Ryu took Syndra, our boy Rikara, the wild card. Ricarda, no, don't.
Wild Rikara.
A wild Rikara appeared and took Jin. Aframu on Alistar. Happy birthday, Aframu. On the other side, Hanser took Ryze, Greg took Trungle, Bjergsen zillioned us out, and Sven took Kaisa with Mithy taking Gragas. I really wish there wasn't like Mithy and ex-Mithy and like Smithy, and they're all one person to me.
My favorite is Mickey and Mickey.
Yeah, that's a bad one too.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about the draft, my friend?
So I didn't watch the games in real time, and I had them on at an event, so I didn't get to watch the draft and react, which I find is the best way to get an honest draft reaction. But what I'll tell you is, looking at Liquid's lineup in this game,
TSMs.
TSMs. I've got a little PTSD here.
Yeah.
A lot of squishy targets in that lineup.
That's true.
And you watch the health bars throughout the course of that game, and they don't get a whole lot longer than what they started at. So a little preview of things to come there. They just decided to like exponentially increase all of their health bars, and that worked pretty well.
Yeah. I gotta say, I actually really like this draft from us, with the exception of them getting Ryze. I would have liked to see Ryu get Ryze, obviously, but I came out. This was the first time in a really long time that I came out being like, all right, we can do this.
It's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, I always love to see Someday on Gangplank. That's
for sure. And I love to see them using a ban on Rikara.
Yeah.
Oh,
the Rikara factor, dude.
Yeah, the Rikara factor. So once we got into the game, I felt it was pretty interesting because, like, early game with Someday up top, Ryze was actually taking it to him a little bit.
Well, I mean, Ryze,
it was short-lived, but
yeah,
man.
His kit is just a lot of damage, right? And I feel like top laners scale a lot more slowly into their damage. So, and he's got good range. I could see it. And that's the other thing. If lately, when I've been playing against champions, so I never play against before. And I know that these guys never find themselves in that position, but there's got to be something to the muscle memory on playing against a champion you don't typically lane up against.
Yeah.
Everything's a little off, so my guess.
That's right. Speaking of which, I mean, Gragas down bot, it's not like that's a weird thing, but like it's something that we haven't seen in NA very often. And in fact, it might have been just the past couple of weeks where we really started to see that. But guess what? At 15 minutes, Rikara was still winning lane up CS. This was not the 100 CS behind of last week.
He's like, oh, this is what it's like to play against somebody who's not double lift in the NALCS.
Yeah, and he was playing against the Kaisa, and he was still doing quite well.
Can we just jump to the Rikara section of this recap?
Go for it.
That dude played. Holy cow, man. It's like he heard what you were saying last week about his curtain call. He went back and he practiced a curtain call.
And he got a really beautiful curtain call.
He find me this traditional sports equivalent of this shot. The one where Trundle was it was like, I've got it for you. Traditional sports equivalent. Here it comes. It's the quarterback's Hail Mary pass as the clock ticks to 0 and there's somebody charging him straight in his face. He gets absolutely clobbered, but he gets the touchdown. That's what I'm going to. And in this case, the touchdown blew up the guy who caught it.
See, for me, it's I don't know if you've seen that clip that I think it was like maybe Canadian football or something, but a wide receiver was running a route in front of the goal line, and the quarterback threw it to him, and he had no idea that the quarterback had thrown it to him, and the ball just kind of went into between his arm and his chest, and so he didn't like actively catch it, but he passively caught the ball.
Right. He had
and
it
I believe
controlled.
Scored.
Yeah. If he didn't drop, right?
It was like the narrowest of margins. Yeah, what an amazing curtain call.
He threw a pass that he couldn't drop. That's good. But yeah, that was an awesome one. And then that was not his only one though. He had multiple pretty devastating curtain calls.
Yeah. So one of the big differences that played out across this whole series for me was that our early game was much better.
Mm-hmm.
And in this game, we were dropping neutrals, but we were ahead everywhere else. So like we were able to keep that lead. We got into the mid game with about 1,500 gold up, and that's not really our MO, obviously. And when we're doing it in the third place match, that means we're against some pretty good competition.
Yeah.
So that's got to be a positive for us.
For sure.
Taking that into Worlds, it seems like at least to some degree. And our early game wasn't perfect across the whole series or anything, but at least to some degree, we figured out some of our problems.
Yeah. Yeah. The early game, I mean, I feel like every week we talk about more positive signs in the early game, which is a really good trend. There's one troubling thing that I think popped up in this one, which was in game 5, and we won't jump that far ahead yet, obviously, but another game where we had a good early lead. So I almost feel like there is something with teams who are used to playing from behind. You have to get used to playing with an advantage too.
Yeah, but you're right that we have to get used to playing with an advantage, but maybe in some way we've evolved a little bit, and now we're a little bit more like Team Liquid, where we'll do better in the early game and maybe have more chance to snowball or more chance to just win. But we also have the added familiarity of knowing what it's like to play from behind and to win from behind. So if we can make the early games being good a habit for us, then we can play either way, and that will be fantastic.
Well, I think this was a perfect example of exactly that. This game where there were so many team fights where things just fell beautifully into place. Like it doesn't happen that often that we get a 5-0 ace, just because we scrap fights out. Usually I feel like our players are really good at one player will kind of sacrifice themselves to set up 2 kills or 3 kills or a kill that is going to swing the fight, right? Like Afro will drop to take out their ad carry, and then the whole fight gets blown open. So I just feel like to see a 5-0 ace is a really good sign, because that means that we've got everybody hitting with the damage that they need to turn the fight, or I guess to close out the fight early on.
I kind of lost my mind when I was taking notes during this game, because all of a sudden everything's in caps and then I'm not in complete sentences and I'm just yelling and excited. The big play from this game was obviously Anda's Baron steal.
Right? A thing of beauty.
Anda, who continues to play very well for us.
He's getting better every game.
I still am seeing comments where people are like, well, Anda's not a good jungler or whatever. And he is rock solid. And maybe he's not a top 2 NA jungler, but he is rock solid. And I cannot complain about him. And he stole that Baron like he had done it a million times before.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Just the way, I think there's no better champion to do that Baron steal with than Olaf, right? He hits his ult and he just sprints.
Guess what? I'm running fast.
And you can't stop me.
You can't stop me because it says unstoppable right over my guy.
And I think he ults over the wall too, right? He does. Or not ults. He flashes over the wall, right?
I can't remember if he flashed over the wall or if he came around from the bottom.
But just a beautiful fly. Like the steal is perfect, man.
Yeah, and then we turn around and ace him off of it. So, that felt great. And we flipped the gold graph at that point, and it was never the same. I mean, Rikara's amazing curtain call was shortly after that. Yeah. Honestly, like with the Baron steal, it was good to keep it away from them. I felt like we didn't do a whole lot with them. Like we didn't crack their base, which I was surprised about, but it didn't matter because we turned around and had another great couple of team fights and were able to take 2 inhibs down. And then from then on, we saw a play, which I think is going to be significant in the Rikara Cody Sun conversation at the end, where we saw a team fight in their jungle on bot side, where we were close cleaning them up, and then Rikara flashes forward for the final gen shot and popped it. Ooh, welcome to the LCS. Rikara.
Right over the wall, dude. It was so sick.
Yeah.
In that Baron fight, there are a couple other things I wanted to call out. So we start off that steal attempt. It's a 4v5. So Afro's been pimped, right? So we're playing down. These are things I love to call out because it's just like, get into the mindset of these players, right? It's 4v5. What are your chances? It's super, I mean, you always have a chance, right? But you're definitely at a disadvantage. Enda goes in, steals it, and then to start it, they chain CC Grig, and so they basically kill him as TSM's trying to stop Anda from getting the steal. So it's 4v4. The field is even, and then you don't even see it in the broadcast, but Sven gets killed down in the kind of the bottom of the river, and it's by Anda and Afromu. So it's Afro coming back into the fight, and I don't know exactly what happened, but that's another thing. Those Anda and Afro have a ton of synergy. Like the number of times that I've seen either Afro join him for an early gank, or just the two of them team up for a really sick CC chain, and then the person gets deleted is very pleasing.
I think a lot of that is honestly Anda like just understanding his place as a glue guy, you know, like I'm gonna do what my role is, like a role player, and
right,
does it well. And I think, you know, Afromu was killed shortly before that. He had an engage that kind of went wrong, and so I think that's what he was doing. He was joining the fight.
Oh yeah, no, he had just finished running back up, and as soon as he got there, he assisted in the kill on Sven. So their damage was just gone because the Kais was out. And then Rikara's escape was so smart. Like the curtain call was awesome, but if he hadn't escaped, I don't even know what it was. He popped, but he sprinted around and then dropped the Lotus, whatever it's called,
the trap,
the trap, so that when they tried to rise ult in, it didn't hit him instantly, but it was enough to kind of like slow him down.
Yeah, I saw that.
So super smart play from Rikara, and he just played out of his mind. Like that was totally a makeup game from some of those last ones. I'm glad that he got that game.
Okay, let's not. I'm gonna point this out later, but let's not forget he won game 1 against Team Liquid. Also, I know right you know that. I'm saying that smashed. For rhetorical effect because we're going to revisit that. So he finished 3-0-8 on the Jhin and just looked great. Someday, old Some Daddy was over there. He went 7-1-6, so he was definitely getting off crazy barrels and doing his thing too. So that set us up for game 2. Where we subbed back in Cody Sun. For whatever reason, we took Rikara out, stuck to the apparent game plan of he's going to play game 1 as a scout or whatever they're trying to do. Sub Cody Sun in. And Cody took Tristana someday on Shen, which was a little goofy to me. I mean, the kind of chorus from the Reddit analysts of the world has been put someday on a carry, so having him on Shen was a little surprising. Like I have figured, you know, he's going to be on carries or he's going to be on Shogath, and that's going to be it, you know. Anyway, Enda took Trundle. Ryu got his rise back, and Afromu, birthday boy, played Alistar for the second time of the day, and it would not be the last. Hanser took Scion, which he figured something out when he took Scion. Krieg on Kragus. Bjergsen took Vel'Koz and ran some interesting runes that really paid massive dividends. Sven took Kaisa and Nifty on Braum. Again, like I said, I wanted someday on a carry, but I didn't feel super threatened by their comp right off the bat. I learned to feel threatened by that comp, though.
What was the highest threat detector on your list?
When we lost badly.
No, I mean, like, what member of their team do you feel like blew it open for him?
Well, so I honestly can't remember. So in this series, to me, it was Hanser Scion that just completely changed everything. And this was the first time we saw that come out. I can't recall if he really found that in this game.
It wasn't.
Because let me tell you, this game felt very fluky to me. Like this win for them felt fluky. It did not feel like they truly won this game. I know a win is a win is a win, but you know what I mean? Like it just, it ended suddenly, it ended weirdly.
Yeah. Let's go through it. So I agree with you. The Scion, when I watched this game, I was like, well, that's more concerning than the top rise was, certainly. But the Vel'Koz is actually surprisingly big problem for us. He had some nasty ults that that tore open a couple team fights.
But it was really like early and mid. Like I felt like he fell off when it mattered, you know, a little bit. And yeah, his ult really burned us away a few times. Yeah. But I think we adapted. Well, we didn't really adapt to the Scion thing, but worth pointing out again, we had a really good early game. We got up 5-2 on kills, 1,500 gold, got an Infernal, denied them any Drakes, got a turret. Anna was looking great. Anna was looking confident. I think we even got Herald on this one first, which is really, I felt like, rare for us recently.
Yeah, right.
It just felt like everything, like the dominoes were falling so smoothly for us early. As a matter of fact, I think we got all of their tier 1s down before they even took a turret off of us. And we opened up the map, but it was just kind of like a weird way that things went south.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it was probably at the Baron take that they got. And I went back and watched the specifics of how that happened because it was so weird. I agree. It was very fluky. It was just 3 people on it, just kind of wailing on it. It was the Kaisa for one, so she was doing a ton of damage. But it was like I went back and just watched the map. And the weirdest thing was there's no vision. We have no vision on the Baron. It's 25 minutes.
Which is weird for us.
Very strange for us. And I don't know if they just gone through and cleared it all out or what. But either way, even if they had gone through and cleared it out, usually we do a good job of reestablishing vision because that's how we win our games. Had no vision, not even like a misplaced ward. We just had none. And so right before they start the Baron take, Afro is in the bush, in the river bush, backing. And then he completes his back, and then they just walk in and start taking the Baron. Yeah. And then Ando walks up, like at maybe it's got 2,000 health left or something, and he hits the vision cone on it. And before the vision wave even gets to the Baron, he's already started to run the other way. Because he's like, surely they're not in there. Why would they be? And so he has to then kind of turn around and go back. He's like, oh my gosh. So super fluky and very strange.
Yeah, I mean, we did have some messy team fighting ahead of this. They took a 2-0 fight from us, and they had a Mountain Drake. They got an Ocean Drake. So we were still up, and I just felt like we anticipated the pace was going to be slower than it ended up. Yeah. And that ended up being very costly when they got Baron. And nothing was the same. Drake album cover right there. Like they wiped us after that. It was just game over very, very quickly.
Turrets started falling. Yeah, they didn't get any kills, but the turrets were just deleted.
Yeah, and so it was just that one little thing that just turned everything. And so I almost wanted to be like, okay, well, that doesn't count. Like that game doesn't count.
Let's do a redo.
Because we were really dominating them. Yeah. We made like 1 or 2 kind of just like probably not very attentive, not very alert mistakes.
It was a momentary lapse.
And kudos to them. Like, don't take anything away from them. Like, they took that window and they made us pay in the maximum penalty for what we did. Yeah. But it just felt cheap. Felt cheap. And it made me a sad boy.
I know. Well, and that first game was so good. So I felt like, I just remembered one of my notes for the first game I'll go back to very quickly. After I'd summarized our Baron steal, I wrote, pretty boring stuff. Because that was such an exciting fight from us. Come on.
That whole game 1 was like a thrilling game.
Yeah. People were screaming. Yeah. Anyway, there's a really important thing that happened too. So it's during the Baron siege, right? They've taken all of our outer turrets. They're cracking our base in the top. And the first person who dies during the siege is Cody Sun. And I don't play ad carry, but I feel like as a rule, you're not supposed to die first. Like if you die first, it means you're in some way out of position, right?
Yeah, because it's basically like once you're dead, they have the green light.
Yeah. There's no amount of damage that can stop them.
I mean, you might be lucky enough to have like, somebody who's carrying mid or something that can be a damage dealer for you. But, your primary damage dealer is off the map for 30 seconds.
When they're knocking on your front door.
Yeah. It's kind of game over from there. Yeah. So yeah, it's like kind of the cardinal sin is to die quickly in an important spot.
Yeah, and that was his only death in the game, but he did die first, and then everybody else after that got killed. And that's the other thing that can happen. I feel like if you can pick the ad carry first in a base siege, other people, you have to go into desperation mode, and it's so much easier to get kills than if the ad carry's there.
Yeah.
So
so let me just say this, like first of all, Anna was playing really well again. If I'm the coach, like if I'm Prawley and that game happens, I kind of don't really have a problem like resetting the team, because it's like, look, we just made a stupid kind of careless mistake. Right. We were totally destroying them otherwise. Yeah. So don't worry about it.
Right.
You know, we've got this thing. And I think we rebounded nicely in the following game. We got someday onto Cho'Gath and on Olaf. Ryu took Malhazar, which ended up being a very nice pick.
Oh, yeah.
Cody took Tristana again, and Aphromu took Alistar. Big surprise, game 3. Hansar, who had found out that Cyan could be a problem for us, decided to play him. Greg took Graves, Bjergsen on Zillion again, Sven on Kaisa, and Mithy on Braum. So a lot of it was, I guess, the same. A lot of stuff that was very familiar to us. Someday not on the carry, but he's on like kind of a hyper tank. I'm okay with that usually. Even if I'd like to see him on Darius or whatever, whatever. Maybe not Darius right now, but I was a little surprised that they kept Cody after what happened. Like Rikara comes out and just balls out in game 1.
Yeah.
I thought we would see him return after the game 2 loss, especially like as you pointed out when Cody Sun died, when he probably shouldn't have died.
Shouldn't have. Yeah, and it's a tough one, right? Because I feel like, to your earlier point, resetting the team and just being like, okay, just do that again, right? So it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, we made 2 big mistakes in that game, and that really is what cost us the game. One was giving up Baron, the other was dying, or ad carry dying at the start of the siege. So I don't know. It's a hard call to make for sure.
That is a good point, because it's, do you really want to shift things in a monumental way when it went so well with just like a small exception?
And we did win this one pretty convincingly, right?
Yeah. It wasn't maybe as convincing as win 1.
Right. I would agree.
But it was good, and we certainly did better on neutrals. We took Herald again first. We took first turret.
Ryu got hit with the first blood, but we
made him pay back, right?
Nasty styles. Right. Yeah. He so it was Scion coming in doing his choo-choo train thing. Or no, he actually didn't hit the choo-choo, but he just came through the jungle, and he shows up, and Ryu's trying to back. And so he's like, oh crap, he got caught backing. So he walks away a few steps, and then he just starts backing again. And when I was watching, I was like, so what is happening? Yeah. And then he flashes out of the way of his like giant swing.
Right. I think it was a bait. I think that second bait.
Oh, he totally baited him. He baited him to come in with a giant swing, flashed out, and then Scion flashed over, but he hit him with a suppress underneath the turret, which was super slick. That was a really awesome play.
Afro and Anda were right there to clean up, and they got 2 kills off of that.
The Afro Anda show.
Yeah. So it was another good early game. I mean,
yeah.
And it wasn't that wasn't the last time Ryu had a sick Malhazar ult. No. He got a flank in their jungle that earned us a kill and gave us Infernal. So we have pressure everywhere. Top and mid are going down, bots down. We've got a 2,500 gold lead. Another messy team fight. So like maybe that, we've gotten ahead to these leads and maybe been a little overconfident when we've had them, because it seems like every time we're up early game, we have kind of a messy team fight where we lose and we don't trade kills. We get O2'd or something like that. But we were able to rebound on this. Very key play was after they got those 2 kills, a little bit later, Someday pulled them off of Baron when they were taking Baron, and pulled him off knowing he was going to die,
Yeah.
But it bought enough time for everybody else to respawn and get up and save them from taking that Baron, which could have changed the entire game.
For sure. Yeah. And then was that the one that we ended up taking?
We took it later.
Yeah.
Because if I remember right, Ryu and Someday were bought and took out Hanser, which was, proved not an easy thing to do, but at least he was isolated away from the Zillion. So we took them, then we moved up and took Baron. They somehow survived our cleanup after Baron, which was crazy. And then we picked up 3 kills, and that was pretty much game.
Yeah. The Baron take was awesome. It was, we got it. And it was kind of one of those where we had gotten pretty low during the take itself. Like, I think at least 2 guys were maybe around a third HP. So we were kind of limping out. And I loved hearing the comms of Afro. And like, he just kept saying, play together, play together.
I didn't hear the comms. Man, I want to listen to the comms. So
go back and watch the highlight reel because it's super cool to listen to. Because they get it, and then everybody kind of walks back to back. And it's Someday and Cody, who are Someday's in the bush, Cody's in the river. And somebody's chasing them. And Afro's just like, you guys just play together. Like, we got this. And so they both turn around and instantly, I can't remember who it was trying to take them on, but just get destroyed. That they just absolutely deleted them. And that turned into us, like basically this extreme punishment of them trying to chase us off the Baron, where we had, there's just a lot of really good plays strung together. So
we ended up with all 3 lanes pushing with Baron.
Yeah, and it's because we took 3 off of their trying to push. Cody got the jump on the Graves and knocked him down to about 1%. Ryu hits an ult to stop Sion, who's trying to get into our back line. Afro does a flash over the wall to hit a double pulverize. Like, all these things just happen. Everybody brought a good
really
play.
Nice play by Afro, yeah.
Yeah, he hit a couple really, not even a couple. I mean, because he played Alistair every game.
Yeah.
I think that's another one where it's probably easy enough to just say, like, okay, let's just reset that Alistair because that was good.
Unfortunately, what was in for the next couple games was not fun stuff for us.
No.
Yeah, it did not go well.
In game 3, we also got a preview of the Sion Zillion Madhouse,
which was the worst thing ever.
Dude, it was so bad.
It was so bad, and that's
so frustrating.
Yeah, that's basically they figured out. So our Sion essentially has 4 lives now.
It was the worst.
We can work with that. So you got him on a hyper tank build. Well, let's go ahead and talk about game 4 then.
Yeah.
Let's keep speeding along. So Someday on Cho'Gath again, and on Sejuani. Ryu took Malazar because he was a baller. Cody Sun on Tristana again, and Aframu surprised everyone in the arena by taking Alistar.
People screamed.
People were visibly upsetted by
Babies
this.
were crying. Yeah.
Yeah. So Hanser took Sion. Greg took Camille, which was a little bit of a risk, but feast or famine champion, as they say, and it was a feast for him. Gregson on Zillion, like you mentioned, and Kaisa Braum for Zen and Mithy. Woo! Actually really liked the Gragas ban that came out for us. I feel like Gragas was kind of a disruptor early on, but unfortunately, Camille was a very good pick as well.
Yeah.
And this was the first time I saw Anna kind of losing jungle early.
Yep.
He hung in there. Like, he didn't like get completely blown away or whatever, but I think recently I've gotten used to Anna just having really good jungle pathing and being kind of just ahead of whoever else's brain.
Yeah. He outthinks people. Yeah.
Right. But they shook things up. They did things differently. And that made Anna kind of play from behind, which we're not useful.
Yeah.
We're not used to doing that. And we looked more shaky during this early game than we had. Like, we had 3 pretty solid early games in a row. And then we returned to form for this one. That messed up gank where Anna missed the Sejuani ult down on bot, that was really key. I felt like that was a mentality thing for us. that did not go well at all. We got no deaths out of all of that we committed down there. And then they just able to zone Cody off, take bot turret, and
it was the beginning of the end.
Yeah, it was just not good.
Yeah, I honestly did not watch this game that closely because it wasn't that fun to watch. It wasn't competitive. It was like flashbacks to some of the TL games last week. But, we got triple kill, which they got a Baron off of, and we got triple killed in their jungle, and they just walked in and destroyed our base.
Yeah. It was the first time in this series that we truly did not look good.
Yeah. And I mean, I think a big part of it was like they had a lot of picks that we just didn't have any answer for. Mm-hmm. And I think the Scion Zillion, it
was impossible to kill. He is so incredibly tanky.
Yeah.
He has so much health.
His engage is completely insane. Like
he's got good engage.
Yeah.
And he's got, resurrections more than our Lord and Savior. It was insane to watch that over and over again. And he was impossible to kill, like quite literally. I mean, he went 2-0-5 in this one. We did not get a single kill.
Mm-mm.
We did not get a single kill.
I think our biggest miss was not banning Scion after this game.
We definitely should have banned Scion after this game.
Definitely should have banned Scion.
It was so problematic that I couldn't believe that we let it through in the next game.
Should we go to the next game? Let's go to the next game.
Yeah, let's keep moving.
Let's just go. Let's spend some time on the bans.
In game, let's even before that. If you're Prawley, are you putting Rikara or Cody Sun in for this game?
I just feel like the way we've used Rikara, he may talk about Rikara as a scout. I'm not really sure. I don't fully understand what that means. I see us using Rikara as a wild card. Like when the other team is expecting one thing, you say, okay, Rikara, go sit in the fourth chair and play ad carry. And that's what throws people off. And like, it's when they're not expecting him that he seems to do the best. So yes, I would have sent Rikara out there.
Yeah, I mean, because at this point you've had 3 Cody Sun games in a row.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we've lost 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yep. 1-1.
And we lost very badly. Now it's a hard call to make because I think what's really going on behind the scenes is they are balancing some challenges coming from both of these players where they're having, like because of how Cody Sun was kept at the, away from the studio
right
last week after they announced that they would start Rikara, like, stuff went down and it was bad and it was probably ego related and it probably did some significant damage to the chemistry in the team. Even if it was the right call, which we can continue to debate. Mm-hmm. And so I think they're balancing egos and confidence levels between the team because it's not like the team wants to tear down the players, which is something that for some reason the internet doesn't seem to understand. They don't, you know what I mean? Like they don't want to screw the players over because screwing the players over screws them over.
Right.
They don't want to do that. So they're balancing like, well, how do we manage the ego? But we also want to have them have enough confidence. So I think that's what factored in right here is, they want to keep Cody Sun up there. And it's like, well, he's won a game. He's lost 2. Maybe we, just go ahead and keep him in there, especially because the bot lane was doing okay. Like the Tristan Alistar duo was doing pretty well. So they probably like, look, let's not throw a wrench in it. And if we play this out, then we'll win. Yeah. And it probably even felt like that even more because, like I said, I can't see anyone thinking game 2 was a pure win for TSN. So it's like, look, really, we've kind of only lost 1 game here.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good way to look at it.
So that's kind of my take on how it played out.
So you would have played Cody Sun too?
I really don't know what I would have done because Rikara popped off so hard on Jhin. Mm-hmm. Without knowing the behind the scenes information, I can't tell you what I would have done for sure. That's just my theory on what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. There's not a clear right answer, right? When we talked about last week and playing Rikara 5 games, it was clear to us that that was not the most winning strategy we could have deployed.
Nor was it the intended strategy.
Right, which is why we deduced that something had happened, which led them to do that, because clearly that was not the best chance they had at winning.
Yeah.
So their hand was forced in some way. This one, though, I mean, it did seem like they're both there. They both played.
Yeah. Again, we can't stress enough. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah.
They made the choice to start Cody Sun. I can understand it. I can understand either choice. If they put Rikara in, I would have been fine with it. If they, they obviously put Cody Sun in, even though I believe he cost us this game, knowing what I knew up to that point, I would have been, I'm okay with that decision. You wanted to talk about bans, right?
I just want to see it. Like, who did we prioritize banning over Sion? And is that champion as broken as TSM demonstrated he can be when he's paired up with a Zillion?
I don't even know what our bans were. I didn't have them for this game. If memory serves, they were pretty much the same bans that we had been using throughout the thing. Like,
I've been seeing Akali.
Yeah, banning Akali out, which is obviously a must. But Bjergsen was doing a lot of damage. Well, not damage, figurative damage to the team on Zillion, and he got him. How many times in a row? Was this 3?
Yeah,
maybe 4.
Well, and that's the thing is,
no, it's 3 in a row. Yeah,
Bjergsen is so good that it's kind of like pick your poison, and so I can understand not targeting him with a ban just because I feel like his champion pool is so deep that. Yeah. It's kind of a question of like, well, how much good are you really doing yourself? You're taking away one weapon just to equip him with another.
Right. I think we probably were banning like LeBlanc out also.
Let me see. Oh, I think I've got it pulled up here. Yeah. You can keep going, but.
Well, so while you're looking that up, I mean, the Morgana that coming out was a definite surprise.
Yeah.
That was something that I did not expect and ended up being maybe the biggest key change in this. Even though Sion was like the known, like, okay, Sion's going to be impossible to kill everybody, and that's going to be a huge problem. Like, Morgana was the champion that hit the key play here.
Yeah.
To flip everything around.
Okay. So I've got bad news. It's we banned Akali. We banned Varus. There must be something about Sven's Varus that I'm unfamiliar with. I'm willing to. From
what I understand, he's kind of like a one.
Like that's his.
Super strong on Varus and like not very strong with
Okay, so that makes sense. But then our third ban was Shen, and that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, you're probably concerned with the global.
The global, but
and United being able to get him anywhere.
I know.
At any time, especially like if we've got Gangplank. No, actually, they let Gangplank through for this game because that's what Sunday was on.
Yeah. I think I can say that I would have banned the Sion over the Shen, and maybe there's some reason that's really dumb, but I don't know what it is. I can't think of what it might be.
Please help us understand. We are mere probably silver players.
But it's just like we just got totally smoked by it, and we've been seeing that Sion had been played every game since game 2, and it just became more of a problem every match, every game. It wasn't like we'd figured it out.
Yeah.
And then this last game, it was just an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, and honestly, it was a game that was back and forth a whole lot, and I thought we looked in position to win early.
Yeah. We're playing
beautiful
really
first
well.
blood from Anda on Morgana, down on the bottom.
He came
right through the turret.
Right through the turret. He was walking the wrong way in traffic.
Yeah, and got the bump and finish her off, which earned us the Infernal. I was like on the edge of my seat. It felt like the tension was so high during this game. We roamed up to stop them taking Herald. Anda's timing was like on point during this. During this time, he just was always there to like counter what was going on. It's like Grig was trying to gank Ryu, and Anda was there to like clean up and counter and get a kill. Oh man. They got to pick on Aframu, but it's like we turned that around, got a turret in Mountain in return. Someday did more of his magical escaping, which I don't think I said anything about this. Was it game 1 or game 2? Someday had the most insane like escape from a gank. I think it was game 2. Go back and watch that.
Yeah, I think I remember the one you're talking about.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so he had another, escape from a 3-man, 3v1 up top.
Didn't he like flash over the wall into his jungle and then kind of just stroll away?
Yeah. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if I'm talking about the right one, but yeah. Right. We got 2 kills off of Herald. Afro was looking good. And we were in position to win. And
we were up 4K gold at one point. And we had a huge lead.
Yeah. And then, so to me, the whole play that turned it around was when Cody Sun got hit with the Morgana binding.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this is off of river around Baron when he's, I guess, I can't remember if he was recalling. I think he was maybe recalling, and then he saw the Q come out and he tried to like jump away, but it hit him. In my mind, again, I have to go back and watch this, but in my mind, I felt like not only was he slow to react, but he could have like just straight up dodged that.
Yeah.
I need to see what the vision was like again, but
like did it come out of blackness?
Yeah, I'm a Tristano main, or at least have been. Like I said, I'm switching probably, but I felt like I could have gotten away from that. And I think he just wasn't all the way focused.
Yeah.
And when they got that pick, that bottom Baron, and I have a note by it. So they said like Cody falls asleep, gets hit by Morgana Q and killed, may literally mean the entire game.
Yeah.
And well, that's what happened because they flipped the gold on us.
Yeah.
Off of the Baron. Even though we were able to keep our inhibs from going down from Baron, which was kind of miraculous. But from that point on there, we could not keep up with them in the team fights.
We're on the back foot. Yeah.
Yeah, we were on the back foot the whole time. Someone pointed out in the comments that one of the problems that could have been avoided was if Anna would have taken Trundle in against the Scion to use the pillar to stop those ults. Think of how different the game would have been if that was the case. So very good point from Abisai. Holy cow, that could have made a difference because towards the end of the game, it was impossible to kill Hanser. And guess what? The tilt that came as a result of that is the second play where we lost the game when Cody did something that he shouldn't have done.
Yeah. He really wanted that kill on him.
He really, really, really wanted that kill towards the end. And I get it because it could have turned things, right? But you are taking a huge risk to jump in their jungle.
Well, especially when you're playing against Akaisa. Like she had the killer instinct. She basically teleported to where he was. He got deleted. It all happened so quickly.
Yeah. And this was I had an exchange with somebody on Twitter about this play, and they were pointing out that it's very likely somebody in comms told him to go. So it probably wasn't a pure Cody decision or whatever, which I could see that too. Yeah. I could see trying to make that call in the end, especially. But here's why I can see that. I think they were so tilted by the Scion that they just wanted to get the kill no matter the cost.
Well, yeah, because he had Warmogs too. So unless he's dead.
So that means you wasted everything burning through 3 lives for Scion.
Right.
And it's not going to pay off. So I think it's like, just get that kill and you'll mentally feel better, except when you lose the game.
So he had, Ando had Gragas in this. Could he not have used his barrel to stop the ult? His ult barrel to knock him out.
Comments, people help us out. He can use his ult to like knock people around, but I think Scion's unstoppable during his ult. So I don't think that actually works, but the pillar.
The pillar does, and we saw that actually in the C9 TL series a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, I think so. There were 2 bad plays by Cody.
Yeah.
I won't have the comms to really figure out if, he was told to go in on the second kill, but we had a chance to stay in the game, and that was it.
It did. There was a sense of futility, though. I feel like after they hit a certain power level, and I think it really was the Scion, it just felt like we couldn't, like our team fights just couldn't work. Like we had to pour so much into that Scion to try to knock him down. That like if we didn't have to spend all of our skills on him, we would have destroyed them. We would have,
or if we only had to kill him once.
Yeah. So it was like I was frustrated. I was super frustrated. I can't imagine how they felt.
It felt really bad. Cody Sun got locked up in the Camille ult.
Yes.
Then it was Ace. And that's all she wrote. And
the Camille benefited from a second life from the Zillion as well.
Yeah, man, Zillion, you are annoying. So, it's just one of those things where it's a pretty specific situation, and the comps played out the way that they did. And I think, okay, so I guess we're gonna transition and to talk about like the state of the team right now, what's gonna happen ahead of Worlds and everything.
Yeah.
But thank you to Big Brother, to Team Liquid, for taking care of business and getting us into Worlds. So here's the thing. And Zayton, yes, I do read chat. I'm going to answer your question here in a minute. Actually, maybe in a little bit longer, but yes.
But yes, we do read chat.
So here's the thing. We now have a month. We have a month before our next games. So and I think it's like literally a month, like October 9th is the start date for the groups. That's a lot of time to be able to fix stuff.
Yeah, it's a ton of time.
It is a lot of time. And the problems that we had in this specific match, at least, they were pretty easy to
Pretty
fix,
fixable.
right?
I mean, I honestly think the biggest challenge we had is just team comp. Like, there were a couple boneheaded mistakes, and it really felt like that was what punished us the most, other than the fact that we were playing against the Scion who wouldn't die. These games would have been so much different if not for him.
Yeah. So that's the good news, right? But the bad news is now we're going to be playing Worlds competition and not NA competition.
Yes.
But before we even, really can figure that out, I think we have to figure out what's going on with the ag carry situation.
Yeah.
So one of the Twitter questions we got, let me pull it up. Sorry.
Yeah, man, a month of uninterrupted practice and scrim is.
Yeah. So I think his handle is CS Prison, so it's at Almond Milk Third. Asked, should we keep rotating ADCs? And then also Zayton in the chat was asking, after Worlds, is Cody going to be off the team? Is Rikara going to take his spot? So those questions are related, right?
Yeah.
In terms of rotating the ADCs, I would have honestly thought so. If things played out the way that under Thieves, I think we're planning on it, Cody Sun would be, our guy.
Mm-hmm.
I really do think that Rikara was, at least for this split, he was like a Team Liquid target situation.
Yeah.
It was, hey, Cody's had some problems with double lift. Let's switch things up. That's my opinion on the situation. He took that first game, which we did better against Team Liquid than we did in the previous split.
Yeah.
I think that opened the door a little bit, even though he did get pretty blown out for the rest of the time. I tried my best to make the case for him last week. And even looking back, I'm like, yeah, I was trying really hard to make that case. I'm not, it doesn't really hold a lot of water. But
well, I think it depends on which case you're making. And I think you did try hard to make the case last week. But I think to get to, like,
go ahead.
Should we keep rotating? It doesn't mean should we play Rikara more than we do. Like, right now we're rotating them, and by the way, in the 2 games that we've rotated Rikara in, we've won, and we've won them pretty convincingly. So in my mind, that seems like a viable strat that we would be kind of silly not to pursue it, right? Especially with a month here. Like, why not have at least one strat that is fully dependent on Rikara being in, and that is pretty different from what we normally run?
Yeah, and what we know about Rikara, right, is that he has a decently deep champion pool, and he can play like bot mage and stuff like that. Like, he can play some champions that maybe Cody isn't quite up to speed on.
Yeah.
It seems to me, honestly, like their play styles look really similar to me. Like, I'm not an advanced analyst. I can't see these things as great as I'm sure many people who are listening can.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, like, I don't think there's a huge difference in the way that they play the game, and both of them are paired with Aphromoo, so they have that known quantity with them.
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself, like, what's the difference when those things are played?
Right.
What's the difference between them? I mean, Cody Sun, I think, is he's a little more nervous. I think Rikara just plays out, and it's going to be what it's going to be. That's the main difference for me.
Yeah, it's so hard for me to say what kind of a player Rikara is, because the majority of the data I have is of him getting smashed by double lift. And I don't think that's
everybody gets smashed by double lift.
Exactly. I mean, he did better against double lift. I mean, I think you can say that than Sneaky did today, because at least he got a game off double lift, right? Sneaky didn't, and I'm pretty sure Sneaky got smashed pretty hard. I didn't watch those games closely.
Yeah, I watched the games, but I didn't really like take stats or
right.
anything. But
I mean, this isn't a C9 podcast. What do
we got 3-1 C9, who everybody was thinking could actually beat Team Liquid. They got 3-0'd. So
big goose egg.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the kind of thing.
Was the one.
Right? Like, is Rikara so, are we all talking about him in a certain light because of the series that he had against TL? And are we overlooking something that we wouldn't otherwise be? Like, what if the series that he had to go in and play on was the FlyQuest series, right? And we 3-0'd them because Rikara snapped like he did today in game 1. Like, there's just not enough data yet. We need to know more.
That's a good point, because like you said, everybody gets smashed against double lift, and somehow this is a thing that has driven me crazier than almost anything else this split, probably even crazier than all what I perceive to be really bad and immature takes about the Meteos situation. No one paid any attention to the fact that we took a game off of Team Liquid, and when we did, we smashed them.
Yeah.
So Rikara got in, and it was not an even game.
Do you remember who he played on?
We beat them very bad. He played on Jhin.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
We beat them badly. And it's not like Rikara was like the reason we beat them. I think he went 1-1-9.
Yeah.
Which is, I'll take it. I'll take that in a win, But yeah. I'm just saying, like, no one paid any attention to the fact that we beat them and no one else is beating them.
Yeah.
So that in and of itself is enough that he should be in play. And if teams like C9 have shown that rotating subs in can kind of work, even if it is just giving it a different flavor and making it like less predictable, that's worth doing. I think, like I said, I think Cody, at this point, we know enough to know that he's got some nerves. And if Rikara is not going to have that problem, then let's let the boy play. So in my opinion, I think we should continue to rotate him in. And I probably would not have said that if he didn't come in on game 1 in this TSM series and dominate
and show that he has.
Seeing that, it's like, okay, this dude, he's not just rando academy player that has no spot here. Like, he earned another look at least.
For sure. So to answer your question, yes.
Yeah, a long answer. But yeah, I think we should continue to rotate him. I think Cody probably has a little bit of an edge in terms of priority. But if we're in another game 5 situation, or like a best of 3 game 3, I'm probably gonna ask for Rikara.
I think that our best right now, as things currently stand, our best use of Rikara would be to bring him in either in game 1, because it's worked twice now, or game 2 or 3. And I'm thinking best of 5 series, because I think that gives us the best chance to get kind of a sneaky win in there when people aren't expecting it. I don't know if I would. It doesn't seem right to me to have Cody play games 1 through 4 and then to say, all right, now Rikara, you're in if there's a game 5. I just feel like that's a lot of pressure, and that it's a lot of like ego.
But at this point, man, it's going to be the Worlds tournament, so it's kind of just win, whatever wins.
Right, win. But I just think like it does something to a player if you have them play the whole series and then take them out in the final game.
Here's the thing, though. We've already opened Pandora's box with that.
That's true.
Like the whole, we're starting someone ahead of you because we think we have a better chance to win if we're doing that. That's already happened.
Yeah, but we don't know that they said that, though. What they could have said is we're going to start him in game 1, and because we think that he has what it takes to beat. Like, we know that they weren't planning to start him for the entire series, right? We've established that. So it just,
Well, here's another thing. Like I said, there's a month before our games at Worlds. That's a month where they can talk to these guys and figure out the ego situation.
Yeah, they need to.
And test some things out, get more data on who's going to perform better, who they think their best bet is. And then, we can take 7 to Worlds.
Yeah.
So,
and practice some
strats. For sure going.
Yeah.
And, I think at this point, because he's earned, that ability to at least shake things up, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Why not take a gamble at Worlds on something like that? So let's keep switching him in. Hey. Let's give him some time. And once we get more data, we can really take a look at who the better one is.
I'd probably play him in 50% of your scrims going into Worlds, because the team with Cody, they know how to play with Cody, right? That's an established solid group. So spend this month to get a sense for what Rikara can do, what he's best at. Like, I mean, he's played 2 incredibly good games for us. And who knows how long they've practiced with him? It might be 2 weeks, right? It might be still super early in that, like that unit's bonding. So a month could be twice as long and uninterrupted by anything else.
Yeah, I think it might have been the dive that someone pointed out that Cody had tweeted like the day before Team Liquid games that, he was excited to play and everything. So it could have been like less than a day of notice that they made that decision or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not surely the team knew ahead of then. Maybe they just notified the players late, but you're right. Like, he hasn't had a ton of practice.
We know he came up once from Academy.
Right.
But that was
here's the thing. So, and I do. So Zayden asked specifically, like, what's going to happen after Worlds?
Right. Let's go there.
Is Cody going to be off the team, and is Rikara going to take his spot? So, being realistic, I don't think we have much of a chance to win Worlds or even to go super far in Worlds. Like, thankfully, we're automatically to the group stage. But I think that pretty much our Worlds performance will be deciding what's going to happen between these two guys.
Mm-hmm.
We'll use this to suss out who is the better option for us, and then try and make that one the permanent option.
Yeah.
And I know Cody Sun is on contract through 19.
Okay.
So, maybe they could make a trade if they wanted to get rid of him. I honestly think that we're going to start seeing subs more often. And so in that sense, I think they're more likely to keep him unless chemistry just totally gets out of hand. We know, like, just putting 2 and 2 together, we know Cody blew up at some point and did not take the Rikara start well. If that problem carries over, then, you get into a Medios type situation where you need to do something to make the locker room better.
Yep.
Then they'll get rid of him. But I am hoping, and I think it's more likely that they'll kind of figure out a way to make it work so that they can have both guys on the roster.
Yeah. I mean, a couple things have happened this season, right? We have seen someone be traded because there was a chemistry element there that was not positive, even if they were more skilled at that time than what we consider to be our alternative options. And the team still made the call to make that trade happen and to bring in somebody else who's a little bit more unproven, who we've both talked about working out incredibly well. But the team was willing to take a risk on that because they considered chemistry to be more important at that point than raw skill. So with that in mind, I wouldn't be shocked if we see a move happen. I think, one of the things I've heard is that Cody is more like, he's a little bit more assertive in like shot calling. And so it might be that like maybe that's starting to grate on Afro. Who knows? And I'm speculating at this point. But if we're talking about chemistry, I could absolutely see that being a chemistry challenge, right? If you have a really established player, Afro, who is, starting to feel a little bit stressed out by the fact that he's getting second guessed. So if that's a problem, if there's been a blow up, it seems like there probably has, at least on some level. I wouldn't be shocked. And I think one question might be, what do we see from Rikara in Worlds, right? What do they see from him in the next month of scrims with the main squad? That'll tell them a lot about their odds of having a solid backup. Very likely you'll get some kind of a trade out of it too. So you'd have a replacement either on your main squad or your academy if you want to promote Rikara. So
yeah, I really think that's what Worlds is going to be all about for them, is just, all right, what can Rikara do? Mm-hmm. Is Rikara better than Cody? I think they're really going to try and figure that situation out.
Yeah.
And we'll see from there. It's a tough situation, but again, I don't expect us to ever know all of the information. And I've heard a lot of complaints about, well, 100 Thieves doesn't explain this. They didn't have a statement about, why Cody Sun was kept out of the building and like all this stuff. We have to be reasonable with our expectations. Obviously, as we pointed out 100 times, stuff went bad. They still can't throw their players under the bus. Okay, they can't take them out and drag you. Like, you can't come out and say, well, the plan was that we we're going to have Rikara start a game and maybe, play a couple more in the series or whatever, just rotate Cody Sun back in. But then Cody Sun flipped out and he threw a fit.
Right.
So we had to punish him and keep him at home because, man, he was out of control. They can't say that stuff.
Right.
Not only, so it's bad for the player, but it's bad for the team too.
Yeah.
And so just be reasonable with what you expect them to explain. And I know everyone wants to hear the explanation. I do too. But that doesn't mean we're going to get it. And just do as much reasonable deduction that you can from the information that you have available. They're not stupid.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, I've heard some people.
The players aren't stupid. Just put it together. Like, what makes the most sense?
I've heard some people talk about the whole thing with Cody Sun being subbed out be just like this PR disaster. But I think you're right. Like, there are certain situations that come up that you cannot PR your way out of, right? Like,
and I agree that the messaging hasn't been perfect for them, but I think that they've had curveballs thrown at them that they weren't planning on. Like, I don't think they anticipated Medios firing off a tweet telling everybody before they had a chance to, stuff like that. So just be reasonable with what you expect to hear, and just know that the organization is not going to throw their own players under the bus outrightly in a public way. And so you might see some things that you don't fully understand, but just if you keep that fact in your mind, it'll probably inform you on what the reasons are behind it. We got one more question in chat that want to address really quick, and then we'll move on. So Honori Isana says, with the current team, do you think it's more likely to keep Ryu, Someday, and Afro and leave Anda and Cody? So again, is it more likely to keep Ryu, Someday, and Afro and leave Anda and Cody?
Leave, like get them off the squad?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know why we'd get rid of Anda.
Anda's been very solid. And who are we going to bring in that's going to replace him? So a lot of people have talked about Levi, right? And maybe, I think we've said this before, but maybe it's a communication thing. Like maybe he just hasn't learned English to the point where he feels comfortable communicating and making calls and stuff like that. But he hasn't done that great in academy. And we know he has crazy potential.
Yeah.
But he plays a certain way, and maybe the rest of the team doesn't play that way. I don't think there's a need to put Levi in for Anda, especially because that burns an import slot.
Yeah.
And then I will continue to beat my drum saying that Ryu is a very solid player, and there aren't many immediate improvements over him available.
Can I just put this one out there? You mentioned that Cody is on contract through 19 next year.
Yeah.
Someday's contract through the end of this calendar.
Yeah. So everybody, as far as I know, everybody is signed through 2019 except for Someday, who's only signed through the end of this year.
So that's something to think about, right? Because right now, the reason in my mind Levi's not playing is because you're not going to take Someday out.
Nope.
He is an arguable MVP candidate, very close, not to mention the best at his position. So you're not going to replace him.
And we don't have a backup mid anymore because Linsanity is not with the team.
And we don't have a backup mid. And I would certainly agree with you that we'd have to look really hard to find a backup mid for Ryu. I think he actually gets undercredited for a lot of the stuff he does because it's more intangible stuff. So I don't think there's a clear swap there, nor do I think we could go out and find one easily.
Yeah. And in my mind, I'm thinking that we are, at the end of this year, we're in danger of losing Someday.
Right. And so if that happens, that means we do have a clear move for Levi into the main squad.
But would you do that now?
Would you do that? And I would say no. I would say absolutely not.
Well, maybe we do a Rikara situation and we kind of try him out and rotate him if we need to, if we need to play a certain way. Because he clearly plays in a different way than Anda does. Like they're almost polar opposites, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's an option too if that import slot frees up.
Yeah, I mean it's if we're doing that, it's because we're in a position that today we'd look at and say is suboptimal, right? So we're gonna have to make something happen, make something work if we find ourselves there. And if you're not trying every option you have available to you, then you're not trying hard enough. So yeah, Levi, I think if somebody were to leave, which would be a huge blow to the squad, he'll have to be in the conversation next year.
Yeah. Well,
but I think for that reason too, you don't get rid of Anda. You have to keep Anda.
Yeah. I think we are definitely going to talk more about this once Worlds is over, because like I said, I think that we are in danger of losing Someday. I think that is more likely than not to happen. So we're going to have some huge question marks to address with the team.
We got some juicy off-season topics here coming up.
Yeah, we do. So let me just end with a little thought.
Yes.
A little whatever. Okay. And I just want to point out, like, I don't get why people hate us so much. And everybody, like, you get on like the main Reddit sub for, LOL esports, like nobody wants us to go to Worlds. Nobody thinks we deserve Worlds. It feels like people are cheering against us. It feels like the analysts are picking against us all the time. So where I said it's because no merch in the chat. Oh, that's amazing. But yeah, here's the deal. Okay. We finished 4th this split in playoffs, 3rd in the regular, right? And 1st in regular, 2nd in playoffs. We earned it. Yeah. And yes, we needed Cloud9 to lose so that we got that automatic second seed, but we earned the second seed. I don't feel like that's an inappropriate seed for us. I don't think we're going to make huge waves at Worlds. I really don't. But I don't know who's going to make bigger waves than us at Worlds other than Team Liquid.
Well, and ask yourself this. What other organizations at Worlds who have been an organization for less than one full season, are there any?
Exactly. Yeah. We are in our year one. That's how well we've performed.
Yeah.
Okay? The guys have earned it. The staff has earned it. The coach has earned it. The players have earned it. And yeah, as brought up in the chat, people are saying because we're a quote sketchy organization, which drives me insane when I hear that. So I'm right with you. Just because people can't use their brains to fill in the gaps about stuff that has happened or see anything other than an I love this player situation.
Yeah.
Oh, I just want everybody to chill and realize that we've earned it. And so for 100 Thieves fans, enjoy it because we've gotten that far. And in year one, we've made the goal, right? Like the goal was Worlds. We're there.
There's a super interesting traditional sports equivalency to draw here. We are, in essence, we are not one of the big established clubs in the NALCS. And what we're doing is we're breaking our way in. And when we made it into Worlds, we're not a big club yet, but we have earned ourselves a seat at the table with the other big boys. So people, I think, just in general don't like that. And you see it in other traditional sports all the time, right? Like it's kind of popular to hate the smaller clubs or the little upstart clubs who don't have the tradition and who haven't made it to the finals every split and who have never been to Worlds. And then, it's not like we don't smash people. We don't win. All of our games are not won in the most convincing way. So I think there's a ton of room for people to just say like, well, they got really lucky, or they only won because they are like cockroaches and you can't actually squash them. And so I think it's those two things together that combine to have people say they don't really deserve what they've got.
Yeah.
Which is why it's fitting that we're called 100 Thieves.
That's right, because we stole it.
We stole it. And you steal it once, and then, eventually we'll just have it.
Wait, and let's be more careful with our words. We took what was not given to us.
That's right. That's exactly it.
Well, look, I'm excited that we made it to Worlds. I'm very excited that Team Liquid helped us out. And I'm excited to see what we do. My expectations are low, so that means pretty much anything I'll be cool with.
Yeah.
And I'll be rooting the whole way. And by then, my jersey should be here.
That's right.
We haven't really talked, honestly, about how much, if we're going to keep the pod on a weekly basis when we're not playing and all that stuff. But we'll let you guys know on Twitter what we're going to do. Basically, if there's enough stuff to talk about, we'll go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah.
But love this team. Love that we made Worlds in year one. That was the goal.
Huge.
That was a goal that a lot of people thought was unreachable. Well, we got there. We had a little bit of help along the way, but we helped ourselves too. So I'm proud of the team. And we're going to come back and do this again.
Heck yeah. I can't wait. It's going to be so cool to watch Worlds with a horse in the race. I was going to be super excited either way, but now to have our guys playing against some of the other greats around the world, it's going to be super cool.
That's right. So Jordan and his iron will be back on this podcast to talk more. That iron that you see back there, that will come back. And we'll see you guys the next time we have this discussion. So thank you for listening. As always, like, comment, subscribe, anything that makes us look better and bigger, we're all for.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for chatting in the comments. Thanks for asking questions.
Yes, and thanks for giving us the true knowledge that we are in search of.
Always.
All right. Have good weeks, everybody, and go 100 Thieves. Kill Worlds.
Kill Worlds. Take care, everybody.
All right, see ya.